What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Wow, some interesting revelations from one of my favorite fighters growing up, and that's Julio Cesar Chavez Snr. And he has some interesting things to say on ESPN Holpe, and he was talking about the upcoming fight, obviously, with his son and Canelo. Big fight, Cinco de Mayo weekend this year, May 6th. And I'm going to read some pool quotes and just give my overall thoughts. And he said, "My son has always had an audience, but the fans will call you out if you don't prepare yourself like my son has failed to do in the past." So he's keeping it a buck right there. We all know Chavez Jr. has showed lack of concentration and discipline issues. Like I said before, a well-prepared Julio with no weight issues can beat anyone, and Canelo is not the exception. And then the interviewer said, "We would like to see Julio that we haven't seen up to this point. What are you thinking will happen?" Chavez replied, "That's exactly what you are going to see. Like I said on my Twitter, I don't promise I will fuck up my mother if he doesn't come through." I don't know what that means. But he says, Julio will come into this fight in the best physical form of his career. He will not have weight issues. I'll tell something else. When the fight comes to the biggest, the strongest will be Julio, and all the punches will slide off of him. He's coming full force at Canelo. With all due respect, the contract is a mess. We accepted this fight not for the money, but for pride. We took the fight because we know that Julio, being well prepared for this fight, will win. If we weren't sure that Julio can win the fight, we would not have taken the fight. The money is the last thing on our mind. Julio knows that during the key moments in his career, he has failed because of lack of discipline. He knows that God is giving him another chance with this fight, and he has to take the fight with all seriousness. We want him to be around 170 pounds 1 month prior to the fight so that we can make sure that he will be the strongest and the biggest, and that can give us some security during the fight against Canelo." He goes on to say, "I want to tell the people that they can expect a great fight, and we know that Canelo is the favorite and is well deserved, but Julio has my genes, and this is going to be a great fight. Great fight. Well prepared, focused, concentrated Julio can not only beat Canelo, but Golovkin as well. This is going to be the biggest fight. It can break all of the records. It would be great if Canelo and my son break my record in Texas. We're 90% sure this fight will be in Vegas in the T-Mobile Arena, but I would like it to be in Texas so they can break my record. I know that the opportunity that Julio needed, this is the motivation that he needed, and all of the critics that have always come after him about this and that, I would like to tell them they are going to eat their words." And that's from the legend, Julio Chavez. So I want to give my thoughts on it. Funny thing is, before I even seen this particular interview on ESPN, I did the 7 reasons, basically, that Chavez Jr. is not going to be a cakewalk for Canelo. The video's title is on the page. I'll put a card in this video. 7 reasons Chavez Jr., Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. will not be easy work for Canelo. And I firmly believe that. And obviously, what his dad is saying, we're kind of on the same page. If he's not disciplined, Chavez Jr. is a wild card, right? Guys like Victor Ortiz, Zab Judah, guys who have showed mental lapses or career lapses where they weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing. Zab Judah admits at one point of his career, he's beating guys and beating champions and defending titles and stuff, and he was partying every night. You know what I'm saying? That's not the lifestyle of a champion, right? Luckily, his skill set allowed him to do stuff like that, but that's not what you're supposed to be doing. We all know that. So guys like Victor Ortiz, who've quit in fights and done weird things career-wise, Zab Judah and Mike Tyson, it's hard for me to, I guess, rock with them and expect them to do, because you never know what you're expecting. So obviously, it could be a total different fight, but I really think this fight is a little bit different. Sergio, things like that. I don't know why Chavez Jr. didn't prepare for that fight. That was a big fight. But this is a little bit different. Sergio's from Argentina. Canelo's from Mexico. This is for all the marbles, all the bragging rights. This is a long, storied fight. And some other things Chavez Jr. said was basically, like you guys seen in the title, he said Canelo was the one running the show and making all these demands and diva demands. He said it was not Oscar De La Hoya. So it's a very interesting take coming from Chavez Sr. I don't know. I'm not in the cutting room floor. I'm not in the negotiating table with them. But according to Chavez Sr., he's saying that Oscar he wasn't even like a party to this. This was Canelo. Canelo was the one saying change the weight to 164.5 instead of 165 when it was already agreed upon that 165 was the limit. He said Canelo was the one coming with the demands, not Oscar, which is, I'm not gonna say shocking, but it definitely provides some clarity, because for the longest I was wondering who was kind of pulling the strings in certain things with Canelo's career, like the Golovkin fight. I'm like, who does Oscar want to protect his cash cow that bad where he's not willing to make it? And he's just like, no, Canelo, we're going to get you Amir Khan. We're going to get you Liam Smith. Or was it Canelo who didn't want to fight Golovkin and stuff like that? And obviously he didn't really elaborate on something that he wasn't, I guess, party to, like with the Triple G situation. But if this is in fact true, then to me, then you have to blame Canelo for the Golovkin situation. And I was curious at first. I'm gonna be real with you guys. I thought it was De La Hoya. I was like, man, De La Hoya just doesn't want to make this fight because it's his cash cow and this is the last big star Golden Boy. But now with Chavez saying this, and I don't really see what reason he has to lie, because you got to look at it. It'd be one thing if Canelo and Chavez Jr., the fight fell apart in the negotiating, then you wouldn't know who to believe. But they actually took all of the demands that Team Canelo, and I haven't seen one denial from Team Canelo. They said something in the media like, if Chavez misses weight, there will be a quote unquote significant penalty. And I've already reported that my source said the penalty is $1 million per pound over, right? So that is significant. So I haven't really heard anything from Team Canelo rebuking any of these claims. The 164.5, that is the advertised weight. You go to Golden Boy, it says that's how much they're fighting at. So I really tend to believe that Chavez is in this situation because all the evidence is pointing towards that. Team Canelo, you go to Golden Boy's website, it says 164.5. So clearly somebody on that side. I mean, why would Chavez Jr., who struggled to make over 170 pounds in fights like with the Fanfara and stuff, and he struggled to make 168, why is he going to go down another half pound? That doesn't make sense. So clearly it came from the Canelo side, right? And then other stuff like Team Canelo, there's reports and interviews where they said there's a significant fine, which it was again revealed that it's $1 million per pound overage, right? So very interesting stuff from Chavez Jr., but he was basically saying that this fight is all for honor and pride. He says, my son's well off. My family's had money and been financially stable. This is completely honor and pride because Canelo's getting the lion's share. And I did a video about this, and Chavez Jr. said they're getting 80% of the bag. So clearly money is not the issue. And I commend the Chavez family for taking this fight. It clearly sounds like it's for pride and honor, because at the end of the day, it sounds like they got a raw deal. It doesn't sound like their deal is great. They're getting, what, 20%? Canelo's getting 80%. And I told you guys, I don't think Canelo is going to have 80% of the crowd or do 80% of the buildup or 80% of the work. The Chavez name holds weight in boxing, right? Canelo says his 3 favorite fighters of all time, Oscar De La Hoya, Muhammad Ali, and who else? Julio Cesar Chavez Snr. So obviously it's not going to just be a crowd full of only Canelo fans, like maybe versus Liam Smith, but I think we'll see a good presence from just Chavez fans who were rooting for him. So that split sounds faulty. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think Chavez is worth more. So clearly they are doing it for honor and pride, because it's not the best deal. They could have got a good sum of money fighting somebody else without all these weight stipulations and stuff like that, where they could have been the A side. So very interesting. But it was surprising that Chavez outed Canelo and said he was the one with the demands. He said Oscar wasn't even the one doing it. He said it was all Canelo. Canelo was the one demanding this to his team and then relaying the information, or having them relay the information, but he was the one, not Oscar. So according to Chavez, that provides some clarity. So to me, and I kind of figured this because it got to a point I was like, I think it's De La Hoya holding Canelo back. But then it got to a point where I'm like, the Golovkin fight is still not made yet. Maybe it's Canelo, because the thing that stood out to me is Canelo, when he really felt truly disrespected versus Edeslani Lara tried to upstage him, jumped on the stage after his Angulo win, and he went to the press conference. Canelo took a stand and he stormed into the Golden Boy offices, and Oscar did not want to make the Lara fight. He thought it was too dangerous. Floyd Mayweather had already schooled Canelo and he already had one loss, so he didn't want to make the fight at the time. And Canelo demanded it. Oscar's on tape. It's a Showtime All Access, I believe. And he demanded that the Lara fight happen next because he was tired of Lara's insults and him calling him out on social media or after fights and stuff. And then he jumped on stage and he was like, enough is enough. And that's when you've seen that fight made. But for Golovkin, we still haven't seen the fight. So that it's kind of, it makes you question the motivation, because why were you able to get the Lara fight, which De La Hoya admits by his own admission he did not want to make, but we still haven't got the Golovkin fight. If Golovkin pissed you off that bad and you said put the gloves on right now and all this stuff, then why haven't we still seen that fight? And we don't even know a definitive date of seeing it now. You know what I'm saying? So sounds like it's Canelo the one pulling the strings with his own career, and maybe it's not De La Hoya. Like First Take was kind of drilling De La Hoya about it. Will we see Golovkin? But it sounds like Canelo at the very least has some control over his career and making the decisions. And see, I think ultimately they gave Chavez a raw deal, and I don't think they thought he was going to take it because he was going to have to kill himself to make weight. He's getting a shitty money split. He can have no fighters on the card. That's what Chavez Jr. said. He couldn't pick the location or the site, like anything that benefited him, right? So that's what Chavez Jr. was saying. Everything is against me, but we took this for honor and pride. So this is interesting, very interesting, because you have to question Chavez Jr.'s motive. Maybe he really, I mean, clearly he really wants to fight because this was not the best deal that they could have given him, and he took it anyway. So maybe he knows something. Maybe he feels like he's really going to train hard. So this fight got that much more interesting to me, especially if Chavez Jr. is focused. That, I mean, that's the wild card, because again, he hasn't always been a model of consistency. But let me know what you guys think. According to Chavez Sr., Canelo is the one that was causing all the demands and last minute changes and things like that, not De La Hoya. And the Chavez family, they're taking this fight for honor and pride. It wasn't the money. So very interesting. And Chavez Sr. sounds like he has some faith in his son now. Like, hey, and the thing I like about Chavez Sr. is you can always, one way you could tell if people are lying, if everything sounds like they're always the victim or they're always the hero. And that's not what I really seen from Chavez Sr. He, in his statements on ESPN, he admits that his son is basically failed in the past, has been a failure, and didn't rise to the certain occasions and disappointed a ton of people. But he's saying this will be different. So hopefully he does manage his weight and we get a real scrap. I'm sick of these fights in boxing where people are doing too much with the A side. Like standard stuff, glove size, ring size, top billing. Okay, cool. But I mean, it's getting egregious. They might fight for a belt at once, a super middleweight belt at 164.5. You know what I mean? And it's like people are doing this A side thing like way too much. Like, I mean, now I'm starting to think about it. Like Golovkin, a flat rate, but none of your other opponents had a flat rate like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, why is he the only one that gets the flat rate? Because you know he's not going to take it. You know what I mean? Max Kellerman said this on ESPN First Take. He said, Oscar, it's an old school trick from boxing promoters to send someone a contract and you send it with some poison in it, so you know they're not going to sign it. And maybe that's the case. Maybe they knew that Triple G's team feels like they've done enough, sold enough venues out, where even though they don't have strong pay-per-view numbers, they're still worth more than a flat rate, right? And they knew they wouldn't take it, so they just offered a lump sum. I mean, Dana White just did that with Conor McGregor. We know Floyd wasn't going to take no $15 million or whatever he offered him. $25 million when he made $32 million 10 years ago, or $32 million guaranteed to fight Guerrero. Doesn't make sense. So Very interesting. Let me know what you guys make of this fight and the news from Chavez Sr. Who do you want to win? Who do you think will win? Is that the same or is it different? Make sure you guys like and subscribe as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Until next video, it's Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.